Hey guys, this is you from ATLUS. Here with Genshi, and we have a special guest today, the voice actor of Kanji in Persona 4 Arena Ultimax and the 3DS RPG title Persona Q, Matthew Mercer.
Hello everyone.
So, we'd like to see what kind of things Kanji can do in P4AU, which is different from the old game.
Right. So, Kanji has a character who's gone over a lot of changes overall, and they've actually really expanded his tool base overall. The really obvious one you see is the A combo, which goes straight into this grab. This, in comparison to the last version, that kept the opponent standing or crouching at the end of the combo, this combo automatically grabs them and lets you do a nice follow-up no matter how you hit them with it. The really standard one is because it also grabs people who are in the air, and it can also grab people who are in really awkward situations. It's a really go-to combo for him, no matter what happens. And that's one of the biggest changes for him in this version. His standing B, which is normally a move that could poke pretty far, in this version can be charged by holding the button down, and it can go even bigger. And
I see.
It also spins naturally on hit. So, if you do have access to a throw, it combos into the throw. So, nice. Which is, somewhat useful. Like most other characters, he can now mini jump cancel most of his normals as well. So he does get a few other new. He does have a few new pressure situations that he can do with just his normals. His standing C is no longer a fatal counter hit. When it hits them, and they're in the recovery of a move, it doesn't cause a fatal counter, which gives him more. Like normally, a fatal counter would give you access to better and stronger combos, but he doesn't get that anymore just by hitting them with this when they're in recovery. It causes a normal counter hit. But on the flip side is that when you hit them with this move, it always paralyzes. So go ahead and block even. On block, it doesn't paralyze, but when you hit them with the part of this and a part of a combo, you could technically end a combo that would leave them paralyzed somewhere in the middle. It's actually really useful. The crouching C is exactly the same. It still is a fatal counter hit if they're in the recovery or something. So you pull them in for a huge damage combo. His D attacks have become. He still can control the lightning at certain distances, but the persona itself has become slightly more vulnerable. So when an opponent has projectiles, normally you would throw the persona out to stop their projectiles in time, but this time around you have to protect the persona a little bit better because the persona itself is vulnerable and can be stopped. But it's still really useful, full screen projectile that probably no grapplers would ever have. As far as special moves are concerned, he still has access to both of these chair attacks, but he can also now do them in the air as well. And the A1 goes much shorter than the B1, but they're both really effective as anti-airs. So as the opponent tries to anti-air his really big jump B, you can mix up the timing by using one of these moves and just stomp on them. Even if they didn't do anything, this move is actually very safe on block. So they actually have to just know that you're going to do it and alter their timing to actually try to punish it. It's actually a very strong move. This is to offset the fact that... Go ahead and jump for me. This, whoops. This used to be one of his bread and butter combos, but no longer works. So then, instead of doing the grab now, go ahead and jump for me. You can do it into the chair to knock them back on the ground. Which is it's alternative to what he used to be able to do. And in a lot of cases, because the grab itself, if they can crouch under it, you take huge damage for trying it. Instead, in this version, because you can always go to this instead, it's way safer and way easier. So it gives him a lot of stability as a character.
That's cool.
His jump C remains about the same. It's still an anti-anti-air, but it's a little bit stronger because in addition to having a big jump B, and this kind of for anti-anti-air, he also has this as a third option, so it keeps opponents guessing really, really badly. It's hard for them to beat all three together, basically. So the opponent will actually be forced to guess when you actually jump in on them. His new special attack is Primal Rage, where the persona comes out for a tackle. This is kind of what they use to replace his... Since his D attacks are now more vulnerable, he can use this to actually fight zoning characters. The attack is very fast and it's invulnerable to a lot of projectiles. So when you can poke with this move, it's difficult for certain zoners to really do anything about it. the move itself recovers, the persona recovers where he is standing, so you can actually do another move where he's standing.
That's cool.
You can also unblock. If the opponent blocks this move, they could technically punish the persona by attacking immediately. So if you tap A, you can hit the persona. However, you can read this and actually just call the persona back for lightning. And then,
nice.
Yeah. So then it's actually, you keep the opponent guessing even if they block it. So the only real key way to beat this move is to actually really just hit it before it even gets to you. But that's really hard. And in addition, if you make a mistake and it counter hits you, Kanji will get a beefy combo. So go ahead and try. Oh, good hit start. Yeah, go ahead and try crouching C. C. Sorry. Yeah, it's okay. Yikes. They bounce back toward you and Kanji gets a free combo.
Nice.
As far as tactics are concerned, there's also a couple other things that have changed to his system tools. He has an auto attack that looks like this, right? But what they did to it is, if you hold forward, he goes way far forward. So it increases the range greatly. So let's say you land this combo. Oops, you land this combo. And then after you hit this follow-up, you put the lightning on them. Whereas you would have to get really close to do like a mix-up with this move. You can just start from here and hit all the way over there.
Nice.
Yeah, I noticed that Kanji has a little bit of lag when he starts dashing or whatnot.
Right.
So to me, when I tried him, it was kind of hard for me to get to the opponent.
Yeah.
I mean, without the use of like chair move or whatnot. But that's interesting because it effectively like increase the range, so he becomes even more scary.
Absolutely. Well, this hits pretty much half screen. So as soon as you get them locked down by lightning, he actually has access to like a real high-low game from half screen away, basically. And as usual, in this version, as we said before, it doesn't go into the dive anymore. But on a fatal, it should. Like you can go into the chair, like as with the other combo, and it brings them all the way back down for another combo. But there's a lot of different things you can do with this. In addition to moves that go farther forward now, his command throw also can do the same thing. So the C1 is unchanged, but the D1, the slower one, by holding forward, you can go forward. So when an opponent is trying to maybe bait his Wake Up command throw, you can suddenly change the spacing by going really far forward and grabbing them when they least expect it. Also, he can now, when his persona is broken, in the previous version he didn't have access to any defensive options. But in this version, if the persona is broken, as in completely broken, he can still command throw the opponent. The persona, since it is broken, the persona doesn't come out and stab them, but it is a way to get people off of you, and he can follow it up into the chair, as usual. The funny thing about this is, if the persona comes back during the animation, it will do the follow-up as normal. So for example, Naoto can silence people, but if you grab her with this throw, you become unsilenced, and the persona comes out anyway. Yeah.
That's cool.
He can still do the super command throw, while the persona is also broken. Yikes. There we go. And it's the same, instant move, but instead of doing that, he does this follow-up instead. If the persona is still broken when he finishes it. But it's not too bad. It does give him another instant reversal. Now, the one thing about this is it's only available when the persona is actually broken. The thing is, if persona is doing something else, which is also doesn't let you command throw, you don't have access to the command throw still.
Gotcha.
So let's say your persona is busy there, you can't command throw still. But as far as but having it when it's broken is useful, since his furious action requires persona to be available. Oftentimes, once it got broken, he had no availability to him. But especially since now he has one less persona card, having access to the command throw while persona broken is really, really effective. And it is, one last way to get people off of you. Let's see. And as far as just raw changes, that's probably... Oh, there's one more. So in the previous version, he has the follow-up move to everything. Whenever he gets a knockdown, he can do this follow-up chair attack from any distance, right? He actually has a new one, which is the B1. And it goes much higher and goes straight down. So because it goes so high, it doesn't combo normally. But there are situations, despite going so high, he can make it combo, especially in a fatal situation. And then because they bounce super high during it, it lets him do more devastating combos.
Nice.
But they are really specific to when you can actually do that. Like in the previous version, and you mentioned Fatal, he can charge this move, and if you let go on the very last frame, it automatically fatals. But since it's only one frame and very slow, it's not terribly practical. I can do this, I swear. Yeah, as you can see, it's not terribly practical, but it does exist. In the previous version, this had the same property, where if you charge it all the way until the very last frame, and you let go on the very last frame, it would fatal. But in this version, instead of fataling, it counter hits. I've yet to get it even once. This is more practical because if you do this move and they get in front of it, the persona will automatically turn around and bop them if they go behind him. So just turn around and swing right at them. Let's see. That about does it for his general stuff. Because of the changes to, especially his auto combo, because he always gets a third hit on almost everything he does now, he gets access to a lot of meter. Let's see, here we go. So just by landing the 3 A's, he's already at, well, in addition to the first hit bonus, he gets 30. But without the first hit bonus, it's about 10 less. But it always gives him a lot of extra meter to work with. And what that ends up meaning is that when the match goes longer and longer, when the opponent is just about at awakening, so maybe 36%, but you are in awakening, you can often kill them with just an auto combo, just because they're... Whoops. Just because, like, so here's like the really critical position for most characters, where they really want to burst so they can get into the yellow health. But Kanji, because of the way how he gets so much meter now, it's really hard for characters to do that against Kanji, because he'll probably kill them before it happens, even from a basic A combo. So after you do this, you can do it here. And then what'll usually happen is any character that's just outside of awakening will die. So then it becomes really hard for most characters to really mount like a really counter offense against Kanji. And what's even worse is that if you do burst early, Kanji doesn't spend the meter till the very end. So no matter what happens, he'll always have access to that combo as long as he always has a chance to win. So it's so let's say I'm hitting you and you're about to get green, but you're not sure if you're gonna make it. If you burst early, you're still in that terrible situation that you were like a couple seconds ago because Kanji saves all of his meter. So Kanji is definitely like, he's definitely way more deadly in this version thanks to a lot of the changes that they made to his auto combo. And frankly, it makes him also more stable to play. Sometimes you get a really awkward hit and you're not really sure what to do, but the third hit, the uppercut, is really big and will fix the vast majority of the combos for you.
That's great.
So yeah, it just goes straight into it almost every time. In addition, this knockdown is one of the best knockdowns you can get. This grab. So you can either do, the normal chair follow-up. You could do the delay so it yellows on purpose like I did right there. You can also set the lightning on them. Right? And he has access to all the same lightning tricks he used to have. So he could, so between the lightning hits, he could go behind you during the last hit and it hits about the other way. He could time the lightning so that the lightning is about to hit, but then he grabs you. I pressed way too many buttons. Yeah, you can make the grab hit before or make the lightning hit first. And it's actually extremely tricky for the opponents to deal with. They often have to do a reversal. Yeah, so, and on defense though, he has gotten a little bit weaker in terms of what to do. His Furious Action is one of the best, and used to be, relative to how difficult it is to punish, it used to be in his favor against a lot of the up-close characters. But in this version, regardless of what attack hits it during the recovery, it's always a fatal counter. So go ahead and do the Furious Action for me. It's always fatal. Same with the command throw as well. If you do a command throw and they punish the recovery, it's always fatal.
Yeah.
So on defense, doing a lot of his wake-up options have become significantly riskier. So because if an opponent is well-practiced, they can do really juicy, like, punish combos that only work on Fatal. Kanji is no exception, obviously. Like, in the Kanji mirror, like, it's extremely scary for both players to really do anything at all. Because the second you do anything, it's like, oh no, I'm dead! And then they do huge damage to one another.
Right.
So, definitely he is riskier and more difficult to play on defense. But he's definitely also to offset that, he's become far more devastating on offense and in neutral thanks to air chair and things like that. I think that covers it for new stuff.
Let's see. What happens? Let's say you're doing the auto combo from a little bit far away. I think the third one, the grab, actually like misses because you're too far away. But
Okay.
are you pretty safe, or you're kind of like
So-
stuck in there?
Oftentimes, if you're super far away, like from here, there's a chance that because you hit them at the very edge, you will miss. And if the opponent like starts pressing buttons immediately, there is a chance they can hit you. Go ahead and like press A lot.
Okay.
There is a chance you can be hit, but they kind of have to be aware that they have to be aware of the range as much as you do. You can always fix this combo by going straight into this, like the old version. And if you have the awareness. But oftentimes, the ranges that this will miss is just like strictly at the very edge of his boot. Any closer than that, and it'll hit pretty much.
Right.
The air hitbox of the up grab too is also really big comparison to the ground one, so go ahead and jump. I have to hit with the second hit though, I guess. So even though he was so far away, the up grab is super big. So on the ground there is a chance that you may miss it, so you need to go for the sweep instead. But in the air it's virtually impossible to miss. So, but I did say virtually, so. Let's see.
Do you want some?
Sort of, yeah.
You want some? Want some?
He retains a lot of his old pressure tools, so he could go ahead and block. He can block crouching, I guess. He can go backwards from. Let's see. He can go backwards from B back to A, right? Yeah. And then because this is it's a little bit negative, but because there's the fear of the command throw right afterwards, people often let you push extra buttons because they're like, oh man, what if he throws me? And then you just hit them with normal moves over and over again. All of this move and this move, they're both jump cancelable on block. So if your opponent especially is cornered, you can do instant air dash pressure strings as if you're like a different character. And of course, if you hit them on the ground at any time, you just go straight into the auto combo. He also has the mini jump stuff. Like sometimes you want to be a little extra tricky because in mid screen, if you try to instant air dash, sometimes you just go straight over them. So he does have the mini jump, which lets him cancel like this. But it's definitely more something to be tricky and not to be strong. Because there is landing recovery after you press a button here. It isn't the greatest, but sometimes there's like you just have to do something they've never seen before to make them think, oh man, what's happening?
Right.
The classic, which is where you cancel the chair into the command throw, is still around too. So doing the beat chair, you can immediately cancel the grab. So when people are looking for the standing stuff, well, let's say you're doing this kind of pressure string where you're doing instant air dashes into them. But you can also, because he jumps suddenly during this, you can kind of trick them into standing up. So after the second hit, you can trick some people into standing up and then doing the immediate like chair command throw.
Nice.
And as usual, the command throw exists. So as soon as they let their guard down, you grab them. Like they're a little bit scared of you, but they're too afraid to jump. You just command throw them right away. And as usual, he does have the access to this as well, where he can just put the lightning on them after the command throw and do lots of his lightning shenanigans.
I mean, just one, command grab. That's like already like 1/4 life right there, just
Exactly.
by itself.
Yeah, because it lets him set up so much now, he does get access to a lot of, just really safe ways to pressure the opponent, and just one command grab could be the whole round, basically. Once you get set up, the opponent will be super scared because they have to block a lightning, but then because they're really scared, then you can get away with all kinds of other stuff, like grabbing them again, or you know, doing all kinds of little tricky things, like putting the lightning on them and then going behind them while the lightning's hitting them, so it makes it harder to block. So his offense is, as always, is just really, really powerful. So Shadow Kanji is very different from normal Kanji in that, for one, he has the old auto combo. So a lot of the really cool things we talked about that you can do with the new auto combo, you can't do with it. So oftentimes if you hit them with normal, they get stuck standing still, which is kind of an iffy situation where you're not sure if you really have the advantage.
Right.
Whereas with normal Kanji, you always knock them down. Shadow Kanji gets kind of stuck in these kind of situations at times, where he's like, what to do next? But to counteract this, he always has the super command throw ready if he has 50 meter. Kanji has to be in awakening to do it, but anytime you get at least 50 meter with Shadow Kanji, you just always have it ready. So because this move is instant and it's a great defensive option, but it's partially to offset the fact that he has no burst and no awakening.
Right.
So it is a little harder for him to, if people get in on him and they're just really, really like wailing on him, it's actually quite hard for him to make a escape normally. Whereas, let's say you're losing really badly and you really don't know what to do, at least you could burst maybe and get out of there using the burst. But with Shadow Kanji, you really have no choice but to see through your opponent's offense and just get out the normal way. But you do have this at your disposal to help you do that, though, in comparison. He has a lot of the other new buffs that the current Kanji has, though, like the forward-moving command throw, forward-moving all-out attack, the air chair as well. So just the losing the auto combo is kind of a big one, though. Shadow characters do have, they do generally build more meter. When you get hit as a shadow character, you build more meter than a normal character would. So if someone's wailing on you, even if you don't deserve it, you'll get a lot of meter.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Shadow Kanji deserves it, though. Come on.
I think so, too. When you do have 100 meter with Shadow characters, you get access to something called the Shadow Berserk. And what happens when you Shadow Berserk is you spend all 100 of your meter and it just starts counting down slowly. But in exchange, in this mode, you can cancel all special attacks into one another. And then you can kind of just go crazy with all the different special attacks he has into really specific combos. But only once each, basically.
Right.
And then, also during Shadow Berserk, his supers cost less meter. So this only costs 25.
Nice.
And then, this also only costs 25, or it costs 15 or so. But the SB one costs 25. And then, so he can actually do specific, like, Shadow Berserk only combos. So he would just be like, so here's one SB chair super. Here's another one. I missed it. But you can do a bunch of them in a row, basically. I didn't even berserk. But also, the other thing is going berserk is invincible. So let's say you have him, like, go ahead and do it. Like, the move will go through him.
That's cool.
There is some time where you can't do anything during the berserk because you're in that pose. But it is invincible, so it lets you, like, it pauses the game. It's like, what's my opponent doing? And so as soon as you see, he's already pushing a button, then you command throw him, or something like that. So go ahead and go ahead and press the 5C, the standing C. So he's doing that, then you just come down. Can't do anything.
That's really cool. I like that.
Let's see, what else is there? Yeah, go ahead and try it again. So then you just do. Yeah. And you saw that it took a long time. That's because he can actually combo into the SB one.
Nice.
He also has access to combos that normal Kanji can't do with Berserk, because you can cancel things with Berserk that you can't normally cancel.
Nice.
So for example, his throw is normally not very useful, but with Shadow Kanji you can actually do something instead.
Right.
And he has some really goofy things that I don't really recall at the moment, but he can also like do it off of this move, which is something you don't really see very much. Like, so he has access to a lot of things that, especially when he can go Berserk, he can do a lot of things that normal Kanji cannot do. But it's at the cost of not having the new auto combo. It's also at the cost of not having burst, not having awakening. So it's definitely a matter of, choice, where it's like, what do I think is more important to my playstyle? But definitely Shadow Berserk is a lot cooler for a lot of people, so they end up going with it. And I'm pretty sure you can do 2 of these into another super, but we'll see if I can actually accomplish this. There's definitely enough time. Find your center. There we go.
Yeah.
And you could do another command throw right after that too.
They were in the air and you brought it back to the ground.
Yeah.
So basically they bounce all over the screen and then come right back down to you, and then you could do another one.
Cool.
Ah, you're probably supposed to do a normal one after that. That's why. Oops. So we do. Oh, too fast. Yeah, they bounce so high that it's too fast when I did it.
Still got the chair though.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's about it for Shadow Kanji. He's definitely a really different character because he has access to Shadow Berserk, and it lets him do like things like, you know, check what my opponent's doing, or like really deal with things that you can't normally do, like pausing. Like you can pause the game and just be like, what's my opponent doing, right? Like, but he's the only character. He's one of the characters with Shadow Berserk who can do that. And since he has the access to instant supers, it can be really, really painful for the opponent. Let's see. So in terms of when you would try to choose Shadow Kanji instead, basically when you get 100 meter, you're a really, really, really scary character. So the main idea is how can I get 100 meter when the match starts for him? If it's a matchup where you feel like you can't really fight on equal footing for the majority of the matchup, and you're going to be forced to block a lot, you could just block a lot to get lots of meter, and then make a huge comeback with 100 meter instead. So for example, a character with a lot of projectiles will force you to block. You could technically just block it all, and then, especially with instant block, which always gives you extra meter, you could end up outpacing their meter and then just killing them with 1 or 2 combos, especially with the shadow form. But the flip side to this is, if it is a matchup where Kanji is equal to them and he can get close to them very easily, you may be better off using the normal Kanji, who seems a little bit more stable.
Right.
Because if you, let's say you do get to 100 meters with Shadow Kanji, but you never find a good opportunity to use it, the strength of Shadow Kanji is put to waste basically, because you were never able to really utilize the meter you spent all that time building. But with normal Kanji, because he always gets more health, he always has a burst, so at the very least he can always at least get his opponents off of him at least once, whereas normal Kanji can't. I mean, Shadow Kanji will never get that one freebie.
Right.
So it can be, it's a difficult choice. So some characters and matchups will nullify Shadow Kanji's, strengths.
Yeah. Well, then you also get the Mighty Wind pose of Shadow Kanji.
Yeah.
That's worth price of admission right there.
I think they did make him a little bit weaker, so you have to work a little harder to get that pose.
Exactly. It's a true carrot dangled in front of you for the entirety of the match.
Absolutely.
Is it a worthy reward? I think so.
I think so.
Everything worth doing is worth doing well. So.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's about it for Shadow Kanji.